Here is a fairly simple depiction or chart of the past, present, and future tense. In the sense that what are we talking about when we talk about the past, present, and future, or what words do we use in English to mark or tell people that we are talking about either the past, present, or future. And on the left side of the screen in the green, we have the past tense. Past is anything that happened before now, right now. So it could be 5 seconds ago or 1 minute ago, this morning, last night, yesterday, 2 days ago, last week, last month, last year, 7 years ago, 1,000 years ago. That's the past. The present is quite a bit more limited to this fluid notion of right now. And even though I said right now 10 seconds ago, it was in the present tense up until a point where that time is past. So the present tense is now, right now. It could be generally, or let's say vaguely, today, the present tense, or even more inexact or not exact would be currently. And currently is, for example, it not exact moment, but at this current approximate time. So currently, I'm a teacher. That has existed in the past, now in the present, and likely in the future. The future, however, is depicts events that are expected to happen or anytime after the present. So in 5 seconds, in 1 minute, later this morning, later today, this afternoon, this evening, tonight, tomorrow, in 2 days, in several months, next week, next year, or someday. And there's the definitive or exact future, like in 10 minutes or tomorrow at 5. But there's also inexact, like tomorrow at some time or someday, let's say, which is somewhat vague or inexact. So now let's look at some general rules for spelling for the simple past tense. The definition of the past tense is that the past tense communicates actions that occurred in the past and are finished or done. So here are the spelling rules for the past tense. We have one column for when the verb, and then a description of the verb. We have a specific rule, and then we have a number of different examples, 1, 2, and 3. So when the verb is a general verb, we are going to add the letters ed, such as rain turned to rained, and dream turned to dreamed, and need turned to needed. Then when the verb ends in e, we add d, such as love turns to loved, and stare turns to stared, and use turns to used. When the verb ends in ay or ey, you add ed, such as in stay or stay, and turns to stayed, and play turns to played, and obey turns to obeyed. When the verb ends in a consonant plus a y, we're going to change the y to an I and add ed, such as in the word cry. We turn it to cried, I-E-D. Carry, C-A-R-R-Y, turns into C-A-R-R-I-E-D. And studied, the same thing. The Y turns into I-E-D. When the verb has one syllable, single consonant, after a short vowel sound ending in a single consonant, then we double the final consonant and add ed, such as in shop has one p, and then we add another p, shopped. Rip turns to ripped. Plan turns to planned. When the verb has two syllables or more syllables, two or more syllables, stress or second syllable, ending in single consonant. Then we double the final consonant and add ed, such as in commit turns to committed, prefer turns to preferred, and occur turns to occurred. When the verb has two or more syllables and final syllable is not stressed, do not double the final consonant and add ed, such as in happen turns to happened, open turns to opened, and visit turns to visited. And I'm pronouncing this in American English, visited, with a D sound instead of a T. When the verb ends in W or Y, do not double the consonant, such as in snow, snowed, past tense, view and viewed, and fix and fixed. When the verb has a consonant blend, you add ed, such as in blend turns to blended, finish turns to finished, and jump turns to jumped. And then if the verb is an exception, the spelling does not change, such as in three verbs that we have here: cut and cut, cut present tense, cut past tense, hit present tense, hit past tense, hurt present tense and past tense. So now let's look at some examples based on some of the common spellings for the past tense. So rule number one, just simply add ed to the base verb. So walk turns to walked, watch turns to watched, listen turns to listened, jump turns to jumped, and clean turns to cleaned. Here we just add ed to the base verb. Rule number two, verbs end in an e, just simply add a d. So like turns to liked, smile turns to smiled, arrive turns to arrived, dance turns to danced, and close turns to closed. We just add d to a verb that already has an e at the end of it. For rule number three, verbs ending in a consonant plus y, just change the y to I and add ed. So the first one, cry, C-R-Y. The past tense, we changed the y to I and add ed. Tried turns to tried. Carried turns to carried. Study turns to studied. And again, all these verbs ended y, we change it to IED. Hurry turns to hurried. And then rule number four, verbs ending in one vowel and one consonant, double the final consonant and add ed. So all of these verbs that you see in bold type have double consonants. So stop has one P, but we double it with stopped, past tense. Plan turns to planned. Grab turns to grabbed. Chat turns to chatted. And jog turns to jogged. All of these are past tense, adding a consonant. So now let's take a look at what are called irregular verbs. These are verbs that don't follow the, let's say, common or normal spelling pattern with adding an ed. So one of the most common ones in the past tense, or irregular past tense verbs, would be the verb be. So be, for the past tense, I was at the park. This would be, was would be first person singular, third person singular, she was, he was, I was, it was, and then were would be first person plural, we were, third person plural, they were, second person, you were. Begin turns to began, break turns to broke for past tense. He broke the vase by accident. And bring changes to brought for past tense. They brought snacks to the party. He brought, she brought, they brought, we brought. Buy turns to bought. I bought a new book last week. I bought, they bought, she bought, we bought, they bought. And then we have catch turns to caught. And actually in American English, the T kind of disappears, more like caught, caught. She caught the ball easily. Choose turns to chose. We chose the blue paint. He chose, we chose, they chose. She, he, it, chose. And then we have come turns to came. He came to the meeting late. And again, every person, he came, they came, she came, we came, you came. Do turns to did. I did my homework last night. Drink turns to drank. She drank a glass of water. We drank, she drank, they drank. Drive turns to drove. They drove to the beach on Saturday. Then we have eat turns to ate. In this case, in American English, oftentimes the T kind of disappears. Instead of ate, it's ate, ate. Find turns to found. She found her keys on the table. We found, they found, she found. Forget turns to forgot. I forgot my lunch at home. She forgot, he forgot, they forgot, we forgot. Get turns to got. He got a new job. They got, we got, they got. Then we have give turns to gave. Past tense, again, irregular past tense. She gave. Go turns to went. This is a very irregular, right? There's no G in went. We went to the concert. They went, he went, she went, you went. Have turns to had. They had a great time. I had, she had, they had, we had. No turns to new. No turns to new here. I knew the answer to the question. She knew, he knew, they knew. Leave turns to left, and she left her bag on the bus. Next verb that has a irregular past tense form, make turns to made. He made dinner for his family. We made, they made, she made, you made. Read, past tense is read, pronounced as the color red, even though it's spelled the same way as the present tense. I read a good book yesterday. We have to look at the context, words like yesterday, to see. I see and saw, sit and sat. He sat in the front row. And then we go to take and took. A lot of these you just have to memorize, and by reading and working with these words and hearing them and remembering them. They took a taxi to the airport, or an Uber, or a Waymo. Tell or told. Told past tense. I told her a funny story. He told, she told, they told, we told. A lot of these irregulars are just the same for each person. I'm going to scroll down just here in a little bit. Think turns to thought. And again, American English, thought. Thought. It's kind of a hanging T. Wear turns to wore. She wore a red dress to the party. He wore, she wore, they wore, we wore, you wore. Write turns to wrote. And in American English, we might have that T disappear. Wrote. And that is the simple past.